What's up YouTube, and welcome back to the channel. In this video, I'm gonna be going over exactly how to start and grow an insurance agency from scratch. All right, let's get into it. And what I'm gonna be doing in this video in order to help, I'm going to actually be using ChatGPT, and I'm gonna have a conversation with ChatGPT. You guys can see how I do that in order to think of anything that you guys might have as questions so that I can leave no stone unturned and we can get everything that's in my mind from having worked with over 1,300 insurance agents. Everything that I'm gonna be teaching is coming from working with over 1,300 insurance agents on their marketing and advertising, teaching them how to take control of their marketing. But over the last 6 years of doing that, I've had the unique experience to observe these insurance agents, what has worked well, what has not worked well, what models are ideal, what are great for scale, what are great for, somebody that just wants to be a solopreneur. There's so many different things that I've been able to observe, and I'm going to share that all with you as it goes into scaling an insurance agency. Now, if any of you are interested in learning how to take control of your marketing and you want to learn how to go deeper with us at Insurance Advertising Masters and see if we might be able to help you, I'm going to leave a link in the description, and I'll also put it in a pinned comment below where you can go click on that, watch a video that tells you a little bit about what we do. And then if you'd like from there, you'd be able to schedule a call with our team, ask any questions, and just kind of see if we might be able to help you. All right, let's jump in. Okay, so out of everything that you know about me from all the questions I've asked and how many conversations we've had, good about me and my business, Insurance Advertising Masters, and all of that stuff. I want you to pretend to be a podcast host like Joe Rogan and walk with me through questions about all the things that we were just recently talking about when it comes to scaling an agency.
Absolutely. Let's dive in. So to kick things off, can you share a bit about how you started in the insurance industry and what led you to build your own agency?
Yeah, so I don't want to spend a ton of time here, but I started in the insurance industry about a decade ago now in 2015. I was working at a company called Northwestern Mutual, and I just want to keep this kind of short because a lot of the viewers already know this, but basically their model at the time was, and I think it still is honestly, is to build a list of 100 to 300 friends and family, and then you're going to reach out to that and you're going to set meetings and then take a more experienced advisor with you on those meetings, and most of the time they'll do the selling for you all the while you're kind of training and learning. And I didn't really like that. I spent most of my time on organic, just like regular LinkedIn and Facebook, trying to find people I had connections with that actually had a need for insurance. So I spent most of my time doing unconventional methods, but I didn't know about actual paid ads, Facebook ads, Instagram ads, all of that type of stuff. And so I ended up leaving there, going and getting a corporate job, which I hated. I spent most of my time trying to figure out how to make money online, ended up creating an e-commerce company selling weighted blankets. That led me to learning how to build my own websites, funnels, Facebook ads, YouTube ads, all that type of stuff. And then I created a marketing agency where I was actually running ads for a whole bunch of different businesses, but our most successful ones were insurance agents. And that's really how I got into the industry to begin with.
That's quite the journey. It's fascinating how you transitioned from traditional methods to mastering digital marketing. So what was the turning point that made you decide to focus on building an agency with these unconventional strategies?
Yeah, so a lot of my ability to talk on this topic doesn't come from building an agency. It actually comes from Insurance Advertising Masters and teaching marketing, having a background in marketing, and then working with insurance agents when I did from the marketing agency. But then I created Insurance Advertising Masters in beginning of 2019, where I started consulting insurance agents on how to control their marketing, how to build funnels, and everything relied around bringing prospects to them. So they were either used to working referrals or just doing things in person or driving around and all that type of stuff. And I wanted to teach them somewhat unconventionally. Actually, we can use online marketing strategies in order to get people to come to you. And then when you have that foundation, building and growing an agency becomes so much easier, whether it's just you as a one-person agency or if you want to expand and have employee agents or downline agents. But most of what I'm going to talk about when it comes to how to grow and scale an agency is going to come from starting that company in 2019, working with over 1,300 insurance agents up to this point and observing their successes and what's worked for them, what hasn't worked for them. So I'd like to stick most to questions around my expertise in that realm, not necessarily my agency, because I did start one agency in 2022 and it was even more unconventional than what we teach because we were able to use my digital marketing skills in order to get people to come to us and fully fill out an application to where when we were enrolling them, it was very little actual phone calls. We were able to get almost all the information needed to enroll people. And then through just a few emails and texts, we were able to enroll those people. And that agency I built with my brother, and it was just me and him as business partners. And then we had one LOA agent, which stands for licensed only agent, which is effectively an employee of ours. And between me and him putting in about like 4 hours to 5 hours max per week, and then our agent working and doing most of the work, that agency, we were able to scale to about 1,200 clients in 8 months in 2023. And then we've just been living on the renewals of that because he's still in college and got pretty busy. And so while that, by most people's standards, that would be a pretty successful agency. It does about $20,000 a month in renewals. It's not a huge home run as to what I would like it to be or what some of our clients have been able to build. But one of the reasons that I wanted to go into this video is because we're actually starting another agency that's going to focus on Medicare and senior wealth. So the senior health and wealth market. And there's a lot more compliance in that market. So we're definitely going to have to be doing phone calls, building out a real sales team, which is way more in line with, most of the clients of the 1,300 agents that we've helped. All of them still do sales calls and things like that. So really, I'd like to focus, questions around growing an agency that's going to come from my expertise of helping the insurance agents on the consulting side.
Got it. Let's dive into how your expertise with insurance advertising masters has shaped your approach. What would you say is the most critical first step for an agent looking to build their agency using digital marketing strategies?
Yeah, that's a great question. So it's hard to say just one, so I guess I'll just go in chronological order, but a insurance agent, no matter what they think, they are a business owner. Unless they are a license only agent and they're truly an employee, they're receiving a base and they don't have to think like business owner at all, that type of person is different. But for the most part, almost all insurance agents are business owners. And one of the biggest problems is that they think of it as a job. And so I think that the very first thing to realize is as an insurance agent, you are a business owner, whether you accept it or not. If you're in a position, if you're 1099 at all, you have to think about cash flow. You have to think about finances. You have to think about marketing. You have to think about sales. You have to think about what products am I going to sell? So effectively, you have to think about everything a business owner would. So whether you accept it or not, you are a business owner. So that's the first thing. That's the most critical thing I could probably share is start thinking about it like a business owner. And then in doing that, actually treat it as a business. So get an LLC, get an EIN, get a business bank account, get all of those things in order because it's better to just do that at the beginning. And if you haven't, just go and do it now. Start treating it like a business. Then once you have that in place, you're going to have to get contracting. And so most people that are watching this most likely got recruited into the industry. A lot of people don't just say, hey, I want to be an insurance agent or I want to start an insurance agency. A lot of times they get recruited into the industry because the industry is a very heavy MLM. And so with that being said, they're probably already going to get contracts from where they got recruited. It's just kind of like, hey, take your test. Now we got to get you contracts. But I would take a step back at this moment and really think about, okay, what type of business do I want to build? This person recruited me, or I did decide that I want to get into the insurance industry, but that doesn't mean that you have to just go along with the path that they're putting you on right now. There are many different paths to creating a successful insurance agency. For me, again, after observing 1,300 agents, I think that the hottest and most lucrative model right now is the senior health market, and then being able to cross-sell and then also either sell annuities or set appointments for somebody that can sell annuities and get 50% of the commission. It's called joint work. The combination of that allows you to get commissions equal to selling life policies upfront, and then you get all of the renewals. That's just my opinion, but what you should do is really take a step back at this moment. You decided and realized you're a business owner. You got your business things in order. You now need to get contracts, but at this moment, take a step back and think, okay, what products do I actually want to sell? Because once you learn the skill of selling, the amount of time it takes to close a prospect is the same relatively. It might be a little bit longer, but relatively it's the same whether you're selling a Medicare policy or a fully underwritten whole life policy or fully underwritten IUL or a final expense policy or a mortgage protection policy or anything else. Like the sales conversations, it may be 2 meetings instead of 1, but relatively it's about the same. So the question to ask is, if you're going to spend the same amount of time, do you want to make with final expense $500 per sale or $700 per sale? Or do you want to take a little bit longer to learn the skill and positioning to sell something else where you could make $1,500 or $2,500 or $5,000 per sell or $10,000 per sell, or some annuities, if you sell $1 million annuity, you can make $70,000 per sell. So really sit down and think like, okay, I'm a business owner. I'm not just some employee just doing a job, just following exactly what like I'm being told and following the crowd like a sheep. Sit down and think, okay, what do I want this business to look like? And start going after it.
That's a powerful perspective. Treating it like a business from the start definitely sets the right foundation. Can you elaborate on how an agent can identify the best products to align with their goals and maximize commissions?
Yeah, great question. So as long as you have the licensing, you can sell a lot of different products. So people will come in, get recruited, and they'll tell them to go take their test. And almost, I guess I don't know the exact number, but I would guess at least half, if not a lot higher, are going to take the life insurance test, and then they'll probably do the health insurance as well. And then they'll probably throw on annuities as well. I know when I took my test, it was life and health, and then annuities was in there as well too. And so you're getting licensed to sell a ton of products. And then a lot of times, again, if you're in an MLM or if you're being recruited by a certain person, they're probably just gonna, be like, hey, sell final expense because we can buy leads for this, or sell mortgage protection because we can buy leads for this. But you can really sit down and think. And you can either, if you don't know, you can go to ChatGPT and ask like all these questions. You can say, hey, what are all the products that I'd be able to sell? What are the average commissions for these based on what's out there on the internet? You could go to, what are those older things called? Like Reddit, messaging boards or whatever, and read through the insurance ones and learn that way. You could even ask multiple different insurance agents to get perspective. But the point is like, actually take a second to cognitively think about what products you want to sell and just think through, yes, being able to sell a fully underwritten IUL or whole life policy and positioning that in a way that's exciting and being able to sell that may take a little bit longer to learn. You may have to find a new mentor. You may have to do more research, but in the grand scheme of things in your career, if that takes you 3 months or 6 months to learn, and you have to keep working another job or something to create income rather than being able to sell after learning something for a week. If you want this to be a business and you want it to last for a long time, taking a few more months to learn something that can allow you to sell and serve more people, but also earn way higher commissions per hour, it's going to create a way stronger and stable business. And then also when it comes to marketing, if you can make more money, again, like the one that I'm really hyped on is being able to sell Medicare and then cross sell and then being able to pull annuities out of it, because Medicare is a super easy sell, but then being able to cross sell allows the commissions to be similar to that of a simple life policy. You can make anywhere from $1,200 to $2,000 in first year commissions, and then all of your renewals continue, and those are pure profit. And then if you pull out an annuity, you get a $7,000 to $70,000 bump or bonus every, once a week or once a month, however high you scale. So there's that. There's, whole life that you can sell, and, those typically will net you anywhere from $2,000 to $5,000 plus in commissions. Same with IULs. So just sit down and think about like really, you're going to be putting time into learning something. Do you want to learn something that's a skill that'll get you $500 per hour, or not really per hour, but per sell? Or do you want to learn something that's going to make you $2,500 to $10,000 per sell?
Certainly. So what are some other critical steps or strategies you believe agents should focus on to build a successful agency from scratch?
So you've got all that foundation. I would say that the next couple things to think about, I think that it'd be best for this video to focus on building and growing an agency as an individual. And then we could do another video that's building and growing an agency once you've kind of maxed out your capacity as an individual. And now you need to bring on either downline agents or employee agents and really start replicating yourself. So as far as steps for an individual, we've kind of set the frame, got our business in line, got our contracting, decided what products we're going to learn and go after and sell and pursue prospects for. So really the next step is, how am I going to get in front of people? And then once you start getting in front of people, you want to refine your sales skills and your sales process.
Right. Focusing on refining sales skills is key. So once you're in front of prospects, honing your pitch and understanding their needs becomes crucial. What's your strategy for starting conversations and engaging potential clients initially?
Yeah. So, I mean, this really falls under like, how do we get in front of people? So you have the traditional way.
I'm sorry, but you've hit the daily limit for advanced voice. You can switch to standard now to keep chatting.
All right. So real quick, just a little caveat. So ChatGPT ran out of, I don't pay the incredibly expensive price to have unlimited data. So it's switching to the dumber version. So the voice is going to sound dumber and hopefully the questions don't get dumb. We'll see what happens. Okay, so really this comes down to how do you get in front of prospects? So there's the traditional route, which is what almost all insurance agents do. They're either going to make a list of 100 to 300 friends and family, and then they're going to go and work that list and call them and then try to eventually generate enough referrals from that initial list to keep doing business. And the ideal situation is that creates a flywheel. So you got your initial list and you kind of learn to sell through that. And then every single person you meet with, you generate 2 or 3 referrals or even more. And if you're able to successfully do that, then in a perfect world, you should continue to just have a successful, thriving business because every single person you meet with, or at least every single person you close, creates 2 to 3 to 4 or 5, etc., new people to talk to through referrals. The problem with that method is that it is very low. It has a very low success rate. And the reason that I believe it has a very low success rate is because in order to get something like that to work, you need to be somebody that has incredible charisma, a ton of grit, and you just need to grind and grind and grind. Or, with the charisma, it may come naturally. But the vast majority of humans just don't naturally have those skills. And those are also very hard skills to learn because they're innate. They're more of a nature type skill. So I don't really like that. I'd rather go a much more unconventional route in insurance, but honestly, it's a way more conventional route when you look at any other business. And that's just focusing on fundamental business skills, like being able to market, being able to really like generate opportunity, do marketing and advertising. And so that's the route that I would suggest going. And we really break it down into 2 different, or really like 3 different strategies. So first and foremost, if you have no budget, you're kind of just starting this business, you don't really have that much to invest, you also aren't great at sales yet, then you're probably going to go an organic route. So I would still call like the referrals and all that stuff organic, but it's 2025. There's a way better way to do it. And that's using the internet and social media. So you can go online on Facebook, Instagram, pretty much like any social media, and find out where your ideal prospect, your avatar, is hanging out and start engaging with them, creating conversations, creating valuable posts that get people to come to you, comment, maybe DM you. There's a lot that you can do with that in order to demonstrate your authority and just regular social media. And that's going to be way more efficient than having to go around and bother your friends and family, or just try and do that in real life. Like what insurance agents used to do is join country clubs and other places where their ideal people would hang out and do this in person. But the fact that in today's day and age, you can do that from your phone sitting at home means that you can be way more efficient. So that's kind of like an organic strategy. That's okay. If you have money, which a lot of you really should because you're starting a business. And so you should either keep another job while you're starting this business or come in with some money to invest. If you have money, there's 2 different strategies that I recommend. So the first one is going to be called the short form funnel. So the reason that I suggest most people start out this way is because they're not going to know what kind of messaging or what kind of verbiage is going to attract prospects to them. If they've made a few sales, they'll probably have an idea, but they don't already have enough good data from their own experiences in order to go to a more advanced technique. And so we need to use short form in order to figure out, hey, what messaging is actually going to convert? Where is my actual target market? And then what can I say to them to get them to be interested in working with me and also some of the benefits that the products that I want to sell provide. So the short form funnel breaks down into this. Our main strategy is a VSL, which stands for video sales letter. It's like a 10 to 15 minute sales video that we then drive Facebook and Instagram meta ads. The ads can come from anywhere, but that's the easiest. We drive traffic to that video. The video sells them on it. It touches on a pain point and then it sells them on why they should specifically book an appointment with you as the agent. But we need to figure out like what messaging works before we get to there. So the short form is making short sales videos that are 60 to 90 seconds. And then we can put those on Instagram, and then we can run ads to those and get people to, follow your page, start engaging with your content, send inbound DMs, or, if they're just following your page, you can engage them and start conversations. And all of these become leads and opportunity for you to start having conversations with people that are your ideal target market for the products that you want to sell. So that's the short form. And then once you start getting traction with that, and one of the great things about the short form funnel is that you can start with a relatively low budget, something as small as like $10 to $30 a day. And you can actually get a pretty high ROAS or ROI, return on ad spend or return on investment on that, because in that funnel, in that strategy, you're still pretty hands-on. So even though people are coming to you, they're sending an inbound DM or they're following your page to engage with you more, you're still going to be reaching out and having conversations with them. But because of that, there's such a higher return on that investment because you're squeezing more juice out of every single interaction. So we'll regularly see return on ad spend as high as like 10 to 15x, but it's not very scalable because again, it requires a lot of conversation from the agent to get people to figure out what messaging is going to get them interested, to then book appointments, to then have the full actual sales conversations. So that's a great place to start. And then once you start having traction with that, you don't want to stop that because it's still creating a good return on your ad spend. But we then want to take it and put it into a more scalable strategy, which allows you to really start scaling your agency as a single person agency owner, and then you even amplify that even more once you have agents. But once you have that messaging figured out in the short form funnel, we can then move it to the long form VSL, which is a 10 to 15 minute video, or if you're Medicare, we recommend a webinar, and that's where you have that longer video that fully sells for you, and we can run ads and get lots of people being educated and introduced to who you are, the problems you can solve. You're demonstrating your authority. All that stuff is happening automatically because it's on a video. And then the call to action of the video gets them to book appointments on your calendar. So you have people that have already learned, what you do, how you help, what you specialize in, what problems you can solve, and then they're booking appointments on your calendar. That's true inbound. And if you can get to the point where you're booking, 4 or 5, 6 to 7, depending on how many you can or want to take on your calendar every single day, you've now maxed yourself out. And that's where you have a really, really strong foundation. And all through that process, you're getting better at learning your products. You're getting better at learning what messaging, what can I actually say that gets people interested in the products that I want to sell. You're getting way better at that. And then as you're getting more reps, you're also going to increase or improve your sales skills as well too. So it's a very great method to go kind of through all three of those strategies. As you move through those strategies, you have the ability to go from, being a brand new agent. Ideally, you have somebody that can kind of like mentor you to teach you the products, but there's also a lot of resources online. But you're able to start in very risk-averse places and strategies that don't require a lot of money. And then as you get better and better, then you can start upping the amount of money, but you're going to move to those strategies as you gain more confidence and you know that, hey, I can close the leads that are coming in. I can close these appointments that are coming in. The last thing that you want to do is start on a strategy that's built for scale when you aren't very confident at closing. So you want to start for a strategy that is meant for not like you can't really scale it, but you can extract a lot of money because you're putting in more of your time. And then you move to a strategy that allows you to be way more efficient, but you're going to close and be confident. And through that process, you get better at marketing, you get better at sales, you get better at the messaging, you get better at everything. All right, ChatGPT got really stupid. So I might have to just wrap this up with my thoughts. Okay, I answered the question on what or how do you find people, and I kind of went through my short form funnel and then the long form VSL funnel. What would be a next good question you could ask?
A great next question could be, once you've generated leads through your short form or VSL funnel, what does the follow-up process look like to convert those leads into actual clients? This would flow naturally into the next step of the sales process.
Okay, so let's go into the next section. What makes an effective short form video? Like what should I talk about? So when you go into the short form funnel and you're going to start making 60 to 90 second videos that are designed to, educate and like reel in your ideal prospect, the problem with people that are starting with that strategy, because that strategy is a great strategy for somebody that's relatively newer, they probably have less budget. They're definitely newer to digital marketing, but they're probably going to be newer to insurance. The problem is that they don't know exactly what to say to entice people. And so you need to use the scientific method in order to figure out, hey, what messaging is going to work and what messaging is going to get people to raise their hand and say, hey, I want help with that, or I want to work with that person specifically. And so one of the strategies I recommend for people, because a lot of times they'll be like, well, what do I make a video on? So I recommend going to ChatGPT and doing some research, and you can ask Chat a whole bunch of questions. There's so many different ways that you can use ChatGPT for research and everything. You could use Google as well too, but what I would do is start by, okay, we know what products we want to sell. So we can ask ChatGPT, okay, who would be an ideal candidate or an ideal client for X product? Okay, now we're going to kind of get our avatar. We can even go deeper and ask ChatGPT, okay, this is the type of person that would be good for this product. Can you tell me a little bit more about this person? What are the demographics? What are the psychographics? What are they thinking? What are the biggest just pains in general in their life? Okay, it's going to give us a lot of stuff. We can ask clarifying questions if we want, or we're good. Take notes on this, start studying it, understand your client, understand your customer really, really well. Okay, now we want to start getting into specifically what are their problems that we can solve around this product. So then we can go in and ask ChatGPT, okay, what are all the pain points this person may be experiencing when it comes to their finances or how it relates to their insurance? I want to be selling an index universal life policy. My ideal client is somebody that is, 30 to 55, making X amount of money. What are all the pain points that they may be experiencing that I could help them, that I could solve by structuring a IUL policy? Then you're going to get a list of pain points. Okay, great. Now, on the other hand, what are all the benefits that I can get, all the benefits that prospect's going to receive if I'm able to structure an infinite banking or an IUL policy for them and either solve all those pain points or just in general, what are the benefits that they're going to get? Okay, you're going to get a list of benefits. You can then ask, okay, cool, are there any other benefits? Okay, are there any other secondary benefits? Are there any benefits that could affect other people in their life? Expand, expand, expand. You're going to get a whole list of stuff from pains and benefits. Then what we can do is we can start making 60 to 90 second videos about one of those at a time. So we're going to test, okay, this pain point seems like the highest pain point, makes sense. I'm going to make a 60 second video or a 60 to 90 second video addressing this pain point. Oh shit, now you're an insurance agent, you're brand new, you don't know much about IULs. Well, what do I say in that 60 second video? Hey, ChatGPT, can you help me write a script for a 60 second video that's going to have a very engaging, attention grabbing hook and then a little bit of teaching and then a call to action to tell them to follow my page for more content? Cool. Now you got it. You can make tweaks to it, make it better, whatever. You got all these pains, all these benefits, and now you have ChatGPT will even give you a script for the video. It'll literally do everything for you. So that's the best way when you don't have previous experience, you haven't sold to multiple people, you haven't had hundreds of conversations with prospects to figure out what their pains and the benefits and all that stuff is. AI can help you. So that is how we start making effective short form videos and for the short form strategy. Okay, now how do we make an effective VSL, or what goes into an effective webinar in order to get it to convert? So that's a great question. So at this point, if you're going to go and start implementing a more scalable strategy like a VSL or a webinar, it's because you've either successfully done the short form funnel or you have a lot of experience as an insurance agent and you already know from hundreds of conversations or many conversations, hey, what gets this person to buy? What gets this person to for me to get their attention? Whether it's a person on the street or a referral, because even with a referral, the person that referred them had to say something that would get their attention in the first place. If I was referred a fence company and I didn't need a fence, then I'm not going to listen. And so think through all of those things to start thinking about what messaging, what is being said in all of the different places a conversation can have that is working to get people's attention. All of that needs to go into a VSL, or if you're Medicare, it's less important because Medicare's more, webinar is more around education. So I'll get to that in a second. So all that needs to go into a VSL. So let's go through the frameworks of a successful VSL. First thing is get attention. So you can get attention with a question or a statistic or something around the product. Then you're going to go into bringing up pain, and then we're going to twist the knife and we're going to agitate the pain. Then you're going to introduce yourself. The reason we introduce ourselves here and not at the beginning is because nobody cares who you are until they understand that you can solve them or help them or that you care. So we're going to introduce ourselves, then we're going to present the solution, which for most of us, the solution is actually going to be booking an appointment with you or talking to you specifically to see if you can help them. So we want to sell working with you. We don't want to sell the product on this video, sales letter or sales video, whatever you want to call it. We want to sell you. And how you're different from all the other people out there, all their other alternatives that they could be getting into. Then we want to kind of hype up the thing that we're introducing, which is an appointment or working with you. We want to make it sound enticing. And the best way to do that is to go through some so that statements. So that statements create a benefit and a reason why they would want to actually book the appointment in the first place. So say we call the appointment like a strategy session. So, in this strategy session, we're going to go and look at everything that you have in place. We're going to look at any insurance coverage you have, any investments that you have, anything that you have in place so that we can see if it's the right thing and we can see if there's any existing gaps or exposure that you may have that still need to be covered up. Does that make sense? You probably wouldn't say, does that make sense on the actual sales video, but you hear me say, so that we can do X. It creates those benefits. So we're going to list a few so that statements, and that really sells them on why they would want to book an appointment. And then we go and have a call to action. Book now. I've only got 20 slots open over the next 7 days, and they go quickly. So go ahead and click the link below to book a appointment right now. That's the framework of a successful VSL. But a lot of the things that are going to go into, hey, what pain are we going to talk about? How are we going to agitate that pain? All of that needs to come from research. We don't want to just write it and guess on it. We want it to come from either what we learned in the short form funnel, or it needs to come from hundreds of conversations that you've had with insurance prospects over the years. All right, so that's what goes into a successful VSL. Next, what goes into a successful webinar if you're Medicare? So really the main things that go into a successful webinar that get it to convert are you want to have some bonuses at the beginning that entice them to stay to the end, because it's not an in-person seminar. You can't force them to stay in the room. They can click the X button on the webinar at any point. So by having bonuses, if they stay to the end, it gets them to engage and stay on for the whole time. Then you're just going to educate them, and then really you just want to present yourself as the solution and separate yourself from all the competitors and talk about the things that are different about you. And then really the great thing about a webinar is that Medicare is a market that has a desire for education. And so just by educating them and making it clear, hey, what's the difference between Medicare Advantage and Medicare Supplement? If you go down this path, what are you going to get? If you go down this path, what are you going to get? Based on your risk tolerance, you might want to do this. Based on your geographic area, you're most likely going to want to do this. 90% of our clients do this. That type of stuff, educating with confidence is going to be enough value for them to book an appointment anyway. We don't really need any of the conversion elements or sales elements that are in a VSL because the Medicare market already desires education big time. Okay, so that's what goes into the effectiveness of all three of those strategies. So at this point, we're kind of talking through the steps to create a successful agency. And this is exactly what we're going to be doing in my agency, the new one that we're starting right now. So to recap, you want to understand that you're a business owner. Okay, so we're going to treat the business like a business. We're going to get the things that are needed to make it a real business. So we're going to get an LLC. We're going to get an EIN. We're going to get a business bank account. We're going to actually treat it as a business, probably make some social media accounts for it. Just do the things that are free or very, very cheap to make it official and a real thing. If you make this an official business, you will treat it like a real business and you will start thinking like a business owner. So it starts with your mindset, but then actually acting on that will strengthen your mindset. It's kind of a self-enhancing process. Now that we have that, we have to get contracts. And at that time, before that time, or right after that time, just sit down and this is kind of where people say make a business plan, but that's very vague and obscure to me. So really just sit down and think what do I want the business to look like? What products do I want to sell? If I'm going to be spending money on ads and spending the same amount of time doing sales, do I want to sell something that is going to get me $500, or do I want to sell something that's going to get me in the thousands for every sale that I make? And there is no right or wrong answer. To be honest, the things that are less commission are probably easier to sell and you can do more volume. So really depends on what you want to do, how much time you want to put into learning products and positioning them and how to sell them. But just actually intentionally take a moment to think about that. And then we need to figure out how we're going to get people in front of us. So you've got that organic strategies, then you've got the short form for getting started. If you're watching this and you're already kind of an advanced agent, you don't want to go through that. I do still recommend it because it is a great funnel to always have running because it has a pretty high return on investment. And even if you don't want to do the messaging and engaging, you can hire somebody to do that on your behalf to automate that process a lot and still get a good return on investment. It's still just not very scalable, but it is a great strategy. And then once you get past that, again, don't turn it off, but then you can move into either a VSL or a webinar. And then from there, those strategies, because when you have a VSL, you have a webinar, we're going to run ads on Meta, on Facebook or Instagram in order to fill those funnels, get people to watch the VSL or get people to attend the webinar. The great thing is that those videos can educate thousands of people at once compared to you going around one-to-one trying to educate people and work with people and all that stuff. So this is how you really create a scalable agency with inputs and systems that create predictable outcomes. If we only rely on referrals and we try to eventually have enough grit or grind or charisma to get 2 referrals for every person we sell, unless you have those skills from birth, it's going to be hard. But when we are following business principles that every other business uses, like if you look at Apple, they advertise. If you look at any other service business, they advertise. They're doing marketing, they're doing advertising, they're focusing on sales, they're focusing on these business principles. We can apply that to insurance and we have exact inputs. The great thing about advertising and doing it, the whole process of what I talked about up until now, where it's very scientific, we're testing one thing, did it work, did it not? If it worked, do more. If it didn't, cut it. We're not doing it again. It's very scientific, and so we don't have to throw tons of money into something until we know it's working. And then once it's working, and every dollar we put in, we get 2 back or 3 back or 5 or even 10 back. Every 1,000 we put in, we get 2,000 back or 5,000 back or 10,000. Once we have that in place, that's when we can put more money in because we know it's going to come through because we have the skills built in order to monetize those dollars. But at that point, you can really maximize yourself out very quickly as a single agent because when you have the ability to spend money to fill your calendar up with appointments and you know you're going to make exponentially more money than you spent on those, then you just put more money in and all of a sudden your calendar's full and now you're completely maxed out. That's when we can move into how do we then grow an agency by replicating ourselves and having other people in the agency. If that's something that you're interested in, comment below part 2 and I will make that video. Awesome, guys. Thank you for sticking around. Hopefully you liked this video. I was really hoping that ChatGPT would stick with me and be able to ask questions and that could be a fun format for the whole thing. But unfortunately, it did not stick around. So we'll work on that. If you guys like that part, let me know in the comments and I could just upgrade to the way more expensive account, but it'd be worth it if you guys actually like that and it asking me questions and kind of being able to go back and forth. So let me know in the comments if you like the ChatGPT stuff. Otherwise, make sure that you hit subscribe so that you can get notified whenever we come out with new videos, and I will see you on the next one.